Megan. Welcome to the Power 15 interview series. We're so glad that you are here and to interview you. So, you're with the New Home Company. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and the company's history so we can all learn more about you?
Sure. I oversee marketing for the company, and we are about 11 years old. A lot of us started from a company called John Lang Homes and Lang Luxury. And about 11 years ago, we started the New Home Company. It was very much a startup mentality, and we've grown it to 3 divisions, one in Sacramento, one in Southern California, and one in Arizona. We're publicly held. We went public in 2014. And we have some very strong beliefs of how we run our company. We call it the New Home Credo. And we have 5 pillars that I'd love to talk to you about today when we go through some of the questions that Meredith is going to ask. But very proud of what our company has accomplished and in such a short time. And looking forward to answering some of your questions, Meredith.
Yeah. I mean, that culture, knowing who you are, really grounds you so that decisions you make on whether it's land or product or personnel or pricing, all of those things, they always come from kind of that central grounding place of those core values.
Absolutely. Our founders, 3 of which were with John Lang Homes and one at Irvine Company in Orange County. Larry specifically talks about home building and how it's a noble profession and what we do and how we give back. And so it's always been ingrained in us that the culture and the lifestyle and the emotional side of home building is very apparent. Our customer experience, what we provide to the customers, is extremely important. The trade partners that we work with, that they have the same values as us, that we give back to the communities that we build in. So those are a few of our really important tenets that we really stand on, and that it's lived through the company and everyone that touches the New Home Company.
When I first started in the industry, I actually worked for the Home Builders Association in Orlando, Florida. And I remember I was working there in communications and marketing for the association. And I remember, I'll never forget, one of the members of my communications committee that I was running said, "We have to show the community how builders can wear a white hat. We're not always the bad guy in the black hat. We wear a white hat of creating this amazing home for people." And it was her way of expressing, we are in a noble profession, but we don't always tell that story well as builders, or we don't tell it at all. And I think that's a shame. So it sounds like you guys have really, that's one of your core beliefs in yourself, that you are wearing that white hat, and then you're finding a way to effectively tell the story.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, think about it. It's probably the largest purchase you'll ever make in your life, purchasing a home. And why not make that experience personalized and really special? It's not about just rolling people in and taking a check. It's about really creating that experience, connecting, talking about where you are in your life stage, and really essentially then in purchasing your home somewhere that you can really put your feet in the ground, and something that you can really be proud of. So again, yeah, it's about the customer experience. It's about giving back. It's about working with the most incredible trade partners out there that are architects and interior design firms that really represent your brand. It's very important to have aligned your mission statement, and really believe that everyone buys into that, because if your philosophies don't align, it ends up kind of not really working out. So again,
it's a hot mess, isn't it?
And yeah, it's very important to really just to have what we call it, the credo, to really have that put in place, and to live that every single day, right? And put people first. That's the most important thing that you can possibly do.
Yeah. So those of you that are listening, if you haven't taken that time to do the exercise of getting your team in a conference room And what do we believe in? What do we strive for at this company? And be as specific as possible. And then what does that voice sound like? Give it your personality. And that is really the essence of what a brand is. A brand is a promise to other people of what it will be like to work with you and have an experience with you. And if you don't know what you're promising, I promise you, your potential customers don't know either. It's just a mystery to everyone, and that's not going to be effective. So tell me, as you look at the market, you said you're in 3 different markets, and tell everybody about what is your kind of price point and kind of sales volume you guys are doing.
Yeah. So we originally were a luxury, because a lot of us came from a luxury builder. When we started the new home company, it was more on the higher end. And, our average price point at one point was $2 million. Then average price point went back to like $1 million. And it's kind of going further and further down because of the attainability and the housing crisis of where we're at right now. But
Yeah.
what we do is we've really kind of delved into different markets and kind of see where we excel. And I think that we excel in the customer experience and also how we build a home. And so a lot of what we're seeing now in the market is that we've had to reevaluate how we market, how we speak to the consumer, providing this more of a personalized experience, especially this is even pre-COVID, but more importantly now with COVID and the limitations of allowing people in, full reign within your model complexes and all of that. But pre-COVID, we were coming out with a corporate campaign and the first time home buyer seminars. And so we held seminars. We came out with a series of video content that's on our website that I encourage people to check out. And we really pared it down to say, okay, if I was new to the market and didn't understand how to buy a home, some of these are questions that I might have. And so we created a video series of what's Mello-Roos? What's the difference between renting and buying? What's an HOA? I've never even heard of that. It's 3 initials, and so we created a series of, I believe, about seven to 10, and it's all about they're at the max 30-second videos, but we found that video content obviously is king right now. People don't want to read anything. They're sick of getting emails. And so this video content we put on social and we market it digitally. And it's been really, really received very well. And now we've carried that through, even through COVID, because it's still an important question. But we're now finding that some of these markets, like the Bay Area, high density in LA, people are kind of exiting. They don't want to be in dense areas. And so we're seeing in our Sacramento division an exodus from San Francisco and people purchasing in Folsom, in Granite Bay, areas that they can possibly they can commute if it happens, but most of the time people are able to do that remote working and learning for their children, and so they're fine to be out of the city. And so what we found on the marketing side is now when we send out e-blasts, it used to be per neighborhood and staying within a specific geographic region, but now we're finding that people in our Arizona division are hearing from people that are moving from they're leaving LA, so we can market now company wide, which gives us more bandwidth and more budget to do that. But it's just been interesting. I think it's more of the personalized experience. It's about educating our home buyers and don't just making assumptions that they know as much as we do. And then also just really thinking outside the box of how you can reach these consumers now with all of the different, areas of, walls that have been put up a bit with the Corona, COVID-19.
Corona. On the East Coast, we're experiencing the same thing. In North Carolina, where I'm located, I'm in the Raleigh market, but obviously we have Charlotte, which is probably our biggest city in North Carolina. Both of those two markets have a absolute flood of people coming from New York, New Jersey, Pittsburgh. I mean, they no longer have to work in the city or commute to the city. And if they're going to be remote, they don't even need to be in the same state. Like you were saying, you're getting people in Arizona from California. I mean, we're doing the same thing. So if you're listening, think about this, as marketers in home building, we've always kind of operated within these circles. I call them the circles, right? Like we dropped a pin on either a digital map or back in the day when we had the printed maps and the little dots with all the communities, and that was our ad in the newspaper. Remember those? And it was all about the circle, the zone around the pin, and that was where you were going to get your buyers. And now our circles are a lot bigger, because it's not, if I have to live to commute, I'm going to live wherever I want and just remote work in. Totally different.
It's limitless. And I think that we all have to really think about what we knew in the past to where we are now. And I think that's the key component, is that we have the opportunity now to reach a far wider net. And I think we should really encourage each other. And, if you're working with your ad agencies or your media buyers, that you're not just staying in, like you said, that little bubble, because it's far more reaching if you kind of go out into, all these different areas to attract future home buyers.
I saw a research article the other day that was talking about these vacation towns that had historically been second home buyer markets for people who just wanted to buy a vacation home and go there a few times a year, and that they're now primary home buyer markets, because if I'm going to work from home, why don't I do it in one of the most beautiful places on earth? Like, I don't even have to, live in the city. I could live in these beautiful vacation destinations for my primary residence. I'm like, how do you sign up for that?
That would be great.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so my next question or topic for us is, I know that you've got your OSC, Online Sales Counselor program going. I think you said you have 2 OSCs right now. So talk to me about your OSC program, the difference it's made in your business, what you see as why, if somebody's listening, they don't have one, why do you feel they should? Just kind of give us some background on your OSC program.
So I'm a huge advocate of our OSC program. I think it was about 2 years ago that we brought on one of our OSCs, and then quickly thereafter realized that we needed more because they're supporting the whole company. And the way that our company works is that the OSCs report to myself versus the sales managers, because they are reaching all of the divisions. And what we have found is, again, going back to that previous conversation about the personalization. And I think calling it an online sales concierge is very important, right? Because the concierge approach is all about personalization. And what we want is to create that environment that someone calls and says, I'm interested in X project. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you called. And then having that personal relationship that they can really trust. And it's not the salesperson trying to close them, which, and hopefully that doesn't happen with any of us, but sales always is looking for that kind of sale. And I think with these, it's not about the sale, it's about creating that experience. And so it all kind of came to a head. And I think for people that have OSCs in their divisions, some probably see that there's a huge benefit. Some say, well, that lead would have come in anyhow. And to try to get outside of that conversation, what we found, especially when COVID hit, was that we couldn't have our models open. We
No.
couldn't have people coming through. So it went straight from all, bleeding everyone, all the walk-in traffic, all your marketing efforts trying to get people to actually walk in your door, to now come and talk to our OSCs, schedule an appointment. We'll create that experience for you. And I tell you, that was our saving grace. I mean, the market for home has been incredible. And we are all so fortunate to have the ability that a pandemic like this hits and our industry did not.
And we thrived. I mean, we absolutely thrived. And who knew, right? I mean, I'm in this business nearly 20 years at this point. I definitely remember '08 vividly. Yeah, and I didn't know if we were headed for that again or not.
And I think people were reverting back to that mentality of
yes,
layoffs and the world is ending. And so exactly. And what a pleasant surprise to see it actually be more fruitful for us. But
I know
what I found with the OSCs is that everyone now has this strong appreciation for this role. And that they have been able to really promote and live that, going back to what you said originally, that brand of really extending that brand and creating that emotional tie to people. And so then they feel, okay, this person cares. This person wants to educate me. And then if it's appropriate, let me make an appointment for you so you can come out and view our models and meet with our sales team. And then guess what? I'm not going away. I'm going to call you after just to see how it went. Think of me as a friend. And so, like I said, it's been really, really incredible. I can attribute about 30% of our sales year to date to the OSC. Wow. Fabulous. And I'm a huge believer in it. I think it's extremely essential for every home builder to have at least one. And in a world that you have everything at your fingertips, like Uber and Amazon, the fact that you can literally go on your website, hit the button, you can chat with our OSCs, or you can pick up the phone and call them. I think it's a huge benefit. It's a huge benefit.
Well, with the builders that we interact with daily through our clients, when the COVID hit, I 100% saw that the builders that had the online sales concierge program already in place were the fastest to adapt and be successful. Because, and if you're listening, just think of it this way: having OSCs gives you flexibility. It gives you flexibility because your salespeople are typically assigned to a specific neighborhood. They're assigned to a storefront / kind of retail business model. There's just not a lot of flexibility in that. The way they operate is very in person, which is great. It should be, but that is how they operate. And to ask them on a dime to say within, on March the 12th, when we all went, eek, to ask them to go, I need you to now do this, was kind of almost impossible. But the builders with the OSCs told, I started getting messages out to all our clients, double your live chat hours immediately. Like, people are going to be home and bored. Get somebody on there as late into the evening as they're willing to go because nobody knows what's happening, and people will want somebody to talk to, chat, and they're going to have a lot of questions. So it's just little things like that you could do if you have the OSC. But if you don't have it, it's a very inflexible business model we've had all these years. So I'm kind of glad this came along, because it's helping us to be a little bit more adaptable in our industry. Don't you think?
I do. And I think we just enacted this new program that a lot of home builders out there have, a self-guided tour application.
Yes.
We branded it. It's called Unlocked. And
I love that.
But we're in a test case scenario at one of our neighborhoods. It's going very smoothly. We've already had some huge success with it. So it's one of those things, again, as your sales offices, for example, are closed for 2 days, instead of just saying, okay, well, we're closed, no one can come through our models. Well, why don't you call our online sales concierge? She can walk you through the process of the self-guided tour. You make an appointment, you go out, and then immediately our OSC calls them and says, how was it? What did you think? And in some instances, it's, oh, that was too small for me, or that just didn't fit my family dynamic, or, you know what, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I'd love to come back and meet with your salesperson. So again, it's just that added little benefit to make the whole process easier for our consumers. And I think we have a duty as home builders that we've kind of been archaic in our methods. And you look at other industry and everyone's kind of gotten with it. And I think we're trying. It's not to say that we're not. We are, and we're making headway. But I think it just goes back, and I'm going to keep on saying it, about just the personalization and making it easy for people to take that next step, whatever it may be.
Yeah, it is challenging. We're the only product I'm aware of that is built outdoors in the elements. I mean, if you think about it, cars are built on assembly lines in climate controlled facilities, some of which by robots that are like programmed to perfectly screw on the lug nut, right? Like we have human beings that don't necessarily even directly work for us, which gets back to having trade partners that you're aligned with and believe in your mission and values so that you get good quality from them. But we have people that aren't directly employed by us out in the weather, making human mistakes because they're, well, human. It is a very different process, but that's where like your video series you were talking about is so important, because how can you educate people? Hey, this is different, and not in a bad way, but, and just help shape their expectations. I feel like that's maybe our biggest challenge. What do you, moving forward, people will be listening to this towards the end of the year. You'll be you're, as an industry, we're already thinking about 2021. I think we have to really be thinking about expectation setting and managing, because we've sold such a high volume this year. Now we've got to build and deliver all those homes.
So we're seeing a lot of, we had, inventory homes, and those have shot out the door because people have made the decision they want to purchase, and they want a house, and they want it now. And so our challenge as home builders is to get more land so we can build more and provide housing to people, because we are in a housing crisis in California. And so I think it's just one of those things that we're going to continue have to evolve. I think we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what 2021 is going to bring for us. I think if anything, there's bright lights with what's transpired with the pandemic. And like I said, we've looked at things quite differently and opened our eyes. Even on the event side of the business, when you think of marketeers, we always are talking about that next event of how to bringing people out in, masses, which is not really a good idea right now. And what we've experienced right now are more curated events, more events that you have to make an appointment, and we can have an event, but it's going to be in a much smaller sense, right? So I think it's really looking at, we have to just clear everything that's in our head. And even if let's say Corona's gone tomorrow, I don't think all of us are going to go back to what it was like before. No. And so we really challenge ourselves of what's important, where to spend our money. You ask the question of like, what's my biggest challenge, or like what keeps me up at night, is how we continue to evolve and how to make our budgets, from a more tactical standpoint, go further, right? And so it's what I was talking about earlier about, instead of zeroing in on one geographic region, that we're able to really market as a company and sell that brand because we're going out to all of the regions with more money behind us, right? Or it's looking at events and saying, you know what, we don't need to have that $20,000 event that brought out 5,000 people and we fed them and we did everything for them, but did it really bring in the sales? Is it just something that we were always told to do. And so it's for us to kind of really step back and go, okay, what's important right now, and how we continue to evolve. And with the invention of the self-guided tours and OSCs, how does that change our dynamic in the sales office? How does that change our voice as marketeers? I think there's a lot of unanswered questions that we're learning still every day. But I think we have an open book to really change the conversation. And I'm excited about it. I think, it's gotten me really, just excited to even talk about it.
It really, and while we would never, I wish that it was not a health crisis that caused this. Obviously, we don't want anybody ill or anything like that. At the same time, yes, when we reframe what has happened, I feel the same way about it that you do. I view it as energizing and exciting. I have been doing this a long time, and it gave me a completely new puzzle to solve, which is great. I feel like what has transpired was a giant reset button for all of us, personally, professionally. It gave us a chance to just look at our lives and our work and our customers, our processes, all of it, and just go, what do I want to intentionally keep that is working and still works and is relevant? And what is no longer serving me as a person or serving our company? And those processes, those tactics, maybe those people or partners, it's time to move on. And it's for the good of everyone. And I don't know. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing. It's like, like I said, there's little bright lights that have come out of this.
Yes.
And I think we see it in our family life of, working from home and remote learning. And I mean, all these things that you would never even heard of. I mean, I know for home builders predominantly, typically people don't work from home. It's always, it's very old school thinking, like we stay in the office and that's where we do our jobs, right? And then we have the dynamic of, because mostly 75% of your staff is really out in the field. And so how is it fair for a corporate office to all be working from home? Does that really make sense? And that was always the mentality. And then this hit, and it was like, okay, well, everyone has to work from home. You can't go into the office. And how much more efficient we are. We all talk about these Zooms and team, but they are super efficient. They start right on time. They end a lot earlier than sitting in a conference room. And again, I love the social aspect of it, but I feel like there's an efficiency that I'm seeing across the board, not only in our fundamentals of how we run our business, but how we are running our home building side of it, and like really creating environments that are more efficient versus just kind of lackluster. So there are bright lights, and it will get better. This is not going to be forever. And so concentrate on the innovation and really kind of doing this through this and really making things better.
Yeah. So for those of you listening, what I hope you're hearing Megan offering is really an invitation. It is this whole scenario that has happened is an invitation to intentionally look at. And if we go all the way back to the beginning of our conversation, you talked about the new home company and your credo and your tenets, your pillars. And we can do that for ourselves in this. This is the invitation to invent or create your pillars for yourself and your personal life and your professional life, and just say, this is what's working, this isn't, and that's okay. No judgment there. It just is what it is. And how do I want to change it? And you don't get a lot of those in life, I feel like. Those are rare opportunities when we get an invitation to really look at how we're doing things and why, and change them up. So don't be scared, everybody. If you're listening, don't be scared. Don't be worried. Grab a hold and run with it, because the people that do that and the companies that do that are the ones that are going to not only survive whatever comes next, but absolutely thrive in it. And that's exciting. Well, Megan, thank you so much for taking the time to contribute. I know how incredibly busy you are running all these things for your company, and you made an investment today in the industry by helping other professionals get better and grow. And for that, we are very grateful. Thank you so much.
I was so honored that you asked. So thank you so much, Meredith. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. All right. See you next time. Thanks, everybody.